You know, let's talk first about you and how you got started collecting these, and then I want to talk a little bit about the history of this bird that's behind us.
Okay. Well, I'll have to admit it's somewhat of a sickness that I've developed through the years. For my career, I was a pilot. I flew various aircraft, one of which I was fortunate enough to fly the Huey for a while. And I retired in 2012 and wanted to continue on with that disease of being around aircraft. And I made my wife a little bit upset with me. I used some of my sick leave pay that I received from my career, and I bought this aircraft from a museum that had it. And this particular aircraft is a Mike model Huey. It was a gunship used in Vietnam. When that museum picked it up, it had quite a history. It started out in Vietnam, flew combat missions and some excellent combat missions as far as history and the lives that were saved and so forth. After it flew through Vietnam, unlike a lot of Hueys that stayed in the country or were destroyed, this one was brought back to the United States and rebuilt in Aberdeen. And ultimately NASA picked it up and flew it for 10 years in Florida for security purposes for the space shuttle program. And after that, unfortunately, it was auctioned off to the public, and a helicopter agricultural firm bought it and cannibalized it terribly. They took it down to basically just an airframe. And a museum picked it up after that, and I met an individual and acquired the helicopter here and started trying to put this back together for display. It will never be able to fly again because there's some restraints on this type of airframe with the Federal Aviation Administration. But the idea was to put it back into its original configuration as it was in Vietnam doing its service. And subsequently to that, we created a nonprofit organization which allowed us to bring in other aircraft and other folks that had interest in doing this. And now we are restoring several aircraft and vehicles and so forth. And our purpose in doing this is basically to save these iconic airframes and also vehicles that showcase what our veterans had to use while they were protecting our country, and to also showcase the sacrifices that our veterans made while performing their duties in these aircraft and vehicles. Just the idea that that history is being preserved and this is not ending up in a junkyard or a smelter, to me it means the world. I think the name of our organization says it all: Military Machines of American Freedom, because these iconic machines, whether it's aircraft or vehicles, they are our freedom. Our veterans use these tools to gain our freedom and preserve our freedom, and to me that means the world.